What's up guys, this is Anime Crossover. I'm back with another episode of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sage of Six Paths Part 7. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 12 Hope the Dongai, or Precipice World, exists as a link and bridge between Soul Society and the world of the living. It is the primary mode of transportation for Shinigami to carry out their duties in the next world, such as performing Kanso to assist pluses in moving on to Soul Society and cleansing hollows of their sins committed while they were hollows. However, as with everything else in life, there are drawbacks. The cleaner is one of them. Crap, 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 exclaimed Naruto as he and the others fled for their lives. He noticed a huge organic train-like vehicle with a lone yellow light chasing them out of the corner of his eye. What the hell, Yoruichi? If this is the official gate, why do we have to run for our lives again? Ichigo exclaimed frantically as the cat ran in front of him. When was the last time? Naruto inquired. Before we arrived at Soul Society, but through an unofficial gate, and we barely made it that time, Uryu replied. Yoruichi spoke up just as Naruto was about to say something. We needed a hell butterfly to pass through safely, and only Shinigami can handle them. Come on, we're almost there. Naruto and Kurama both thought that. Wait, aren't you a Shinigami? Couldn't you handle the hell butterfly? When everyone looked at the cat incredulously, Yoruichi had a small sweat drop on his forehead. Look, there's an exit. The bell saved the day. Naruto and the others expected to be in a building or on a rooftop when they arrived safely. But fate had different plans. Are we in the sky? Inquired the Jinchuriki before looking down with the others to find the ground far below them before they exchanged glances. CRAAAAAAPPPPPPP. Naruto trailed off as he was dragged down by gravity, with Ichigo, Orihime, Uryu, and even Chad screaming their lungs out. Suddenly, the sensation of falling stopped, prompting Orihime to open her eyes and discover herself and her friends floating through the air on a long white sheet. Yes, like a magic carpet, floating through the air. She then smiled as she noticed the person in front of her. Mr. Urahara, exclaimed Orihime, beaming. Muttered Naruto as he sat upright with Ichigo, Uryu, and Chad just as the man turned around to face them. Urahara is a lean-built man with light skin and light blonde messy hair that almost appears pale, with two strands framing the sides of his face and one strand between his eyes, as well as chin stubble. He wears a dark coat with a white diamond pattern down the center, a dark green shirt and pants underneath, traditional wooden sandals, and a striped dark green and white bucket hat that covers his eyes. Well, everyone, welcome back, Urahara said cheerfully. Urahara, Ichigo could only say at the time, so that's Kazuki Urahara. I expected him to be nerdy and weird, Naruto thought as he observed the current guardian before casting a glance behind him at the three people. That large man there is Tessai Tsukabishi, the former captain of the Kido Corps and Urahara and Yoruichi's childhood friend. Tessai is a tall, muscular man with lightly tanned skin and cornrowed hair, as well as a large black handlebar mustache that is connected to his sideburns. He's got rectangular glasses, a white muscle shirt, regular pants, and a blue apron on. As I recall, he was exiled with Kazuki after being falsely accused by Aizen. Naruto nodded slightly before shifting his gaze to the younger people, or, to use the correct term, kids. One of them is a small boy with red hair who is dressed in a white shirt with the Urahara shop logo on the front and blue trousers with the bottoms turned up. The other is a young-looking girl with a perpetual flush on her cheeks, round purple eyes, black and long, black hair with a purple tint that is parted in the middle with two strands of her bangs in the center of her face, and the rest of her hair in pigtails with pink ties. She wears a white shirt with the Urahara shop printed in pink, similar to the boy's shirt, and a knee-length pink skirt with white dots. Jinta and Ururu. Those two are pretty brave to be involved with something like this, Naruto reflected before hearing his name called. Who called? Well, I did, Urahara said cheerfully, and you're the one who brought Ichigo here to save Rukia, as Yoruichi told me. You know I need to talk to you about the key. Isn't he direct and to the point? The man's cheerful expression abruptly changed to one of dead seriousness. Of course, but first let's drop Ichigo and the others off at their homes, and then we'll talk. Naruto nodded in agreement before noticing Orihime, Chad, and Uryu staring at him, perplexed. I'll explain later, but for now, you should get home and rest. The trio reluctantly agreed and remained silent for the duration of the ride. Jinta turned to Tessai and asked, "Who is the blondie? Does the boss know who he is?" "You could say he's been waiting for him, but forget his identity. Do you feel his spirit energy?" Tessai asked as Jinta nodded. "Then you know it's stronger and more intense than Ichigo's own spirit energy. He's easily a captain level." "Just when I thought Ichigo was the strongest of us," Jinta asked his slightly taller female companion. The boy was concerned because she did not respond. He moved in closer and noticed Ururu's eyes were glazed and emotionless. "Oh no," he quickly nudged Tessai, which drew his attention, and motioned his head to the girl, saying, "It's happening." Tessai tensed before nodding, bracing himself for what was about to happen in 3, 2, 1. His arms wrapped around the lurching Ururu who, for some reason, was attempting to attack the blonde teenager who arrived with Ichigo and the others. Could his spirit energy be causing her to act this way? "It is stronger and more intense than everyone here," Tessai pondered as he maintained his bear hug grip on the thrashing girl, which surprisingly drew no attention, except Urahara, who nodded. Naruto noticed the motion and turned around to see a sleeping Ururu in Tessai, arms and Jinta casually whistling a tune. It was probably nothing, he shrugged, turning to face Ichigo, who was delivering an elbow to the bucket hat wearing Shinigami for using Rukia as a scapegoat. Naruto observed the new city of Karakura town after dropping the teens off at their homes, with the exception of Ichigo, who chose to be dropped off somewhere, and noticed that many of its inhabitants have spirit energy, but in very small amounts compared to Ichigo and the others. Before he could think of anything else, the rug landed in a clearing in front of an ordinary shop with the name, Urahara Shop, emblazoned on the front. "This is where you'll be living until Aizen is stopped," Yoruichi said as she approached and entered the shop with Urahara and his employees. Naruto couldn't help but feel homesick as he prepared to enter the shop that would be his home for the next 2 months. He misses Konoha, with its vast lands of healthy, tall trees, the Hokage monument, and Tuchi's ramen stand. "I hope everyone is okay," the Jinchuriki muttered as he closed the door behind him. Shinobi World Universe. Meanwhile, Konohagakure. It was something to behold, the most powerful and peaceful village. Its landscape is blanketed by an ocean of healthy trees, and the sun's great rays hover over them, filling the inhabitants with joy and happiness, but not any longer. The trees are far from lifeless and gray. The sun is obscured by eternal darkness, which brings with it despair and suffering. It's been 10 months. 10 months have passed since the Allied Shinobi Forces were defeated by the Shinju's might. 10 months of chaos and pain. The 5 great shinobi nations suffered significant losses, but nothing compares to what the citizens of each hidden village endured. They had lost sons, uncles, fathers, grandfathers, grandchildren, daughters, mothers, aunts, and so on. However, that is not the worst of it. Hope had died. When Kumogakure and Kirigakure, along with their respective countries, were overwhelmed and taken by Shinju's forces, the civilians and shinobi lost their will to fight. The current shinobi reserves from both villages fought them in order to allow the populations to flee. There were 5,000 Kumogakure and Mizukage shinobi in both reserves. Only 700 of them survived. The refugees traveled to neighboring villages, but there was soon overcrowding and problems. The reserves of shinobi from each village do their best to solve the problems, but even the 5 Kage lose their will to fight. Only a few shinobi remain hopeful, but one of them believes that not all is lost, and that one person is currently enraged. "Please let me in." The Hokage requested to be alone in her office. "That is her order," said a dog-masked Anbu standing guard outside the Hokage's office alongside a bird-masked Anbu.
"You know as well as I do that she just wants to drink booze and be drunk all day and night. That is not how the Hokage is supposed to act. She is supposed to lead us, especially in this dire time."
The Anbu sighed but remained firm. "Be cautious, Honorable Grand." "My name is Konohamaru," he snarled at the flinching Anbu. "Hiruzen Sarutobi's grandson has short spiky brown hair, black eyes, and has grown in size. He's dressed in a red short-sleeved shirt, gray pants, a long scarf wrapped around his neck, and his Konoha headband. However, Lady Tsunade will not be disturbed, and we will remove you from the premises even if you are the 3rd Hokage's grandson." Konohamaru narrowed his eyes as the 2 Anbu assumed combat stances. "Is this how you'll be for the rest of your life, Lady Tsunade?" No response came from the door, fueling the fire inside the young shinobi. "Fine. Drown yourself in booze for all I care, but remember you're disrespecting the will of fire, the previous Hokages. And Naruto." Konohamaru lowered his head slightly as he remembered his brother-like mentor. He would never have given up, he'd fight until his last breath. Konohamaru walked a few steps after saying what he needed to say until he heard a creak from behind him. When he looked behind him, he saw the door open to reveal Tsunade, the fifth Hokage.
She is a stunning woman with brown eyes, waist-length straight blonde hair, two shoulder-length bangs framing the sides of her face, and a rhombus mark on her forehead. Her most notable feature, however, is her rather large bust. Her outfit consists of a gray kimono-style blouse with no sleeves held closed by a wide, dark bluish-gray obi and matching pants. The blouse is fastened low enough to expose his ample cleavage.
Tsunade, L-Lady. Due to her excessive drinking, the Kuniachi appeared pale rather than light-skinned. You. Come. Inside, Tsunade slurred before disappearing into her office, looking at Konohamaru with half-lit eyes.
The young Sarutobi member gulped nervously as he walked past the Anbu and into the room, not expecting the drunk to respond. The strong odor of alcohol and sake overwhelmed Konohamaru's sense of smell as soon as he entered, forcing him to cover his nose. When he turned on the light, he was astounded by the number of bottles scattered across the floor, some of which were broken.
How in the hell does she walk through this? Not only that, but it's disrespectful, Konohamaru thought as he crossed over the desk where Tsunade was downing another bottle of sake. How can you do this? This was your and my grandfather's office during their reign. Do you have no shame? I can do whatever I want. If Naruto was here, a loud slam shut the boy mid-sentence as he watched in fear at the splintered and broken desk that had been the unfortunate victim of an angry Tsunade.
Quote, You weren't there to witness what happened that day.
What? Tsunade bit her lower lip as she fought back tears from her eyes. You have no idea what happened that day. You didn't see. Then tell me, Konohamaru said firmly. The boy's determination surprised the blonde Kuniachi, who couldn't help but feel nostalgic because he reminded her of the knuckle-headed Jinchuriki who died at the hands of the Shinju.
Quote, That day, after Katsuyu healed myself and the other Kages, we made our way to the battleground where Naruto and the rest of the shinobi forces were battling the Uchihas by Gaara's sand. We were only halfway there when we sensed Madara and the masked man's chakra disappeared. At first we thought they were defeated, but we were wrong. Not long after that, the entire Allied Forces chakra were gone as well. Didn't he happen to be the Raikage's brother? Yes, I was deeply devastated when he felt his brother's existence vanish, but that only made us more determined to get to Naruto, who was still alive. When we barely arrived, Naruto was already. Tsunade choked back a sob, and tears streamed from her eyes.
Konohamaru looked at her solemnly, thinking about Gaara, who must be in the same pain as Tsunade, if not worse. He remembered Naruto telling him before he left for his pre-war training that he fought Gaara and changed his philosophy, demonstrating to him that fighting to protect others is the true source of strength. Naruto became Gaara's first true friend after that fight, and the loss of his first friend is devastating. You can't give up. We have to start fighting back. Before I came here, I had my shadow clone scout the Land of Lightning and Land of Water countries for survivors who had been left behind during the voyage. When they dispersed, my clones discovered that the Shinju's forces are kidnapping civilians and shinobi alike, including their families, Konohamaru said as Tsunade stopped crying and listened. What's the point? We don't have anything. I don't have anything. Yes, you do, Tsunade says, her eyes widening as she looks at the boy. We have the will of fire in us, it's what makes us stronger and keeps us fighting against all odds, and there is another power stronger than fear. And what exactly would that be? Hope. We all have hope. It is what we fight for when all else fails.
Well put, young man. Konohamaru and Tsunade both took fighting stances, though the latter appeared sluggish at best due to the drinking. They both looked around frantically for the source of the voice but were unsuccessful. They were in a room with strange markings on the floor and two lampposts standing opposite each other before they knew it.
Where are we? Konohamaru wondered. I was about to ask you that myself, a voice from behind him said. Konohamaru turned around to see four familiar people, who appeared to be from nearby villages based on their clothing. Lord Raikage, Lady Mizukage, Tsuchikage, and Kage.
The Raikage is a tall, dark-skinned man with a large muscular build, back-combed white hair, a mustache and beard, and prominent cheekbones. He wears a gold belt around his waist with a boar's face engraved in the center and his village's shinobi sandals, and he has black Fuma shuriken tattoos on both shoulders. This is the fourth Raikage and the late Jinchuriki, Killer Bee's brother. The Tsuchikage is a short, elderly man with a triangular beard and angular corners on his mustache, a large red nose and thick brows. The top of his head is completely bald,
but he has white hair styled in a traditional chanmage on the lower half of his head. Over his village's traditional outfit, he wears a green and yellow coat with a red collar. Onoki the fence sitter and the third Tsuhikage here. Kage has fair skin, short, spiky auburn hair, pale blue-green eyes, and no distinguishing pupils or brows.
His most distinguishing physical characteristics are his tanuki-like black eye rings, which are similar to Naruto's whisker-like birthmarks, and the carved kanji for love on the left side of his forehead.
His outfit consists of full-length dark trousers with a pair of laces on each leg, a long-sleeved crimson coat with flaring hemlines and slits down on the lower half of the front and back, a gray holster vest held in place by a single strap over his left shoulder, and two buckled belts that hold his sand. Gaara of the Sand is the fifth Kage, former Jinchuriki of Shukaku the One-Tail, and Naruto Uzumaki's friend. The Mizukage is a tall, slender woman with green eyes and ankle-length auburn hair styled in a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and 4 bangs in front. 2 of her bangs are short, one of which covers her right eye, and the other 2 are long and cross each other on her large bust. She is dressed in a long-sleeved, dark blue dress that falls just below the knees and is kept closed at the front with a zip and open on the front right side from the waist down. Her dress and high-heeled sandals conceal her arms and the underside of her breasts. Mei Terumi is the fifth Mizukage. Damn, they look like they've seen better days than this, Konohamaru thought as he examined each of the Kage's health. Mei appeared to be hungry for something, and it appeared to be sexual based on the look in her eyes. Onoki appears to be more of a grouch than he was prior to the formation of the alliance, and Gaara and both appear to be suffering from severe depression. I'll ask again, who brought us here? A firm but depressed voice asked. I did it. Raikage. A bright light appeared in the center of the marked circle, blinding the shinobi and kunoichi who were there. After it vanished, Konohamaru opened his eyes, surprised to see the one person who was considered a myth by everyone except the Senju and Uchiha clans. However, he is also known as the most powerful shinobi of all time. TT the Six-Path Sage? The Rinnegan-wielding shinobi smiled at the boy, and the 5 Kage, especially Tsunade, opened their eyes to confirm what the boy had said. This has to be a trick, exclaimed, his eyes quivering at the Haori-clad robe man standing in front of him. Hagoromo laughed at their surprised expressions. Those looks on your faces. Those are the same looks they had when they came here, Konohamaru noticed, as did Onoki. They? Inquired the floating Kage, his brow furrowed. Here's a hint. Who is loud, brash, and requires oversimplified analogies to get his point across? Konohamaru responded immediately, Naruto? Naruto was here? He's alive. The elderly sage nodded, bringing tears to the young Sarutobi's eyes. How? The 5 Kage and Konohamaru listened to Hagoromo tell them about his intervention that saved Naruto and Kurama, the training that gave the Jinchuriki new strength, and his mission to find the sealing keys in different worlds. Tsunade couldn't believe she was standing in front of her direct ancestor while the sage was explaining. The man who single-handedly defeated the 10 Tails and was dubbed the God of Shinobi, before her grandfather and former sensei, Hashirama Senju and Hiruzen Sarutobi, respectively. Gaara's life was restored when he learned Naruto was alive, and he felt happiness within him for the first time since the end of the Fourth Shinobi World. Honorable Ancestor, Tsunade said hesitantly, mentally cursing herself for her current situation. How long has Naruto been on his way to the keys? Please. Call me Hagoromo. Tsunade, the man said to his living descendant, causing her to smile. Naruto left for the keys about 2 years ago, I believe, Hagoromo replied, noticing the Raikage's right fist tightening and the latter's face expressing one emotion. Anger. 2 years ago? Asked a perplexed Konohamaru, who was joined by Gaara, Mei, Onoki, and Tsunade. How can that be? It's only been 10 months. It's true that it's been 10 months in the living world, but time moves faster here in the afterlife, the sage said, keeping his gaze on the Raikage, who appeared to be about to explode, while Konohamaru was surprised that the man knew his name. Is there something wrong, eh? Why? Why did you save that inexperienced Jinchuriki? Why didn't you save my brother? He screamed, tears streaming down his cheeks. He was more experienced at controlling the 8 tails than that boy was with the 9 tails. Why didn't you save him? After A had finished venting his rage, Hagoromo stood motionless as Tsunade, Gaara, and Konohamaru glared at the dark-skinned man for wishing Naruto dead and his brother alive.
I couldn't do it. Why? Tsunade was about to sock one into the Raikage's personal jewels for addressing her ancestor in that manner. However, Before she had a chance to prepare herself, Hagoromo slammed the butt of his ringed staff on the floor, causing cracks below it. "Be careful with your tone, boy," the sage warned, dangerously close to rage.
As a look directly into the Rinnegan eyes staring back at him, his anger was replaced by fear. Power filled those eyes, power that rivaled the power of the 10 tails. "Gulp. I'm sorry for being so rude, Lord Hagoromo, it's just. If you let me explain, it's not because I didn't want to. It's because I wasn't allowed. When I was watching the battle between your shinobi forces in the Shinju, I begged Kami to let me rescue both Naruto and Killer Bee. But I was denied and it was too late. I'm truly sorry about your brother, eh?" The elder Raikage sadly nodded before Hagoromo turned to face the other Kages and a serious expression replaced his sincerity. "Now there is something I must tell you all." The Kage and the Jonin waited with curiosity. "You must prepare to fight the Shinju and his forces. He is building what I dreaded for so long and it is halfway completed." "What is he building, Lord Hagoromo?" Mei inquired, adjusting a hairbang. Hagoromo sighed and closed his eyes, trying to think of the best way to tell them but failing. "The Shinju is constructing a blood portal." "Blood portal?" wondered the shinobi and kuniachi present. "What is a blood portal?" Onoki inquired, his brow furrowed. "Whatever it is, it doesn't sound good, especially since the god of shinobi is terrified of it." "I'm guessing something bad," Konohamaru replied.
A blood portal is a means to allow someone of immense power or a massive amount of people to cross dimensions, specifically to the major worlds. It's quite different than the method Naruto uses to cross dimensions because he's only one person. The sage continues, however, there is a terrible price to pay for such method. "What is it?" Tsunade inquired. He requires 50,000 sacrifices. Everyone's eyes widen, horrified at the lengths to which the Shinju will go to achieve his goals. He needs their blood to keep the portal running, and if he succeeds in completing the portal, he will send his massive army to conquer the major worlds and their inhabitants.
"Wait. How about Naruto? The Shinju has already sent 2 of his men after him, though it wasn't until the first one died that he learned of Naruto's survival. He will continue to send his men after him in the keys. That is why you must resume fighting. Not only for yourselves, your countries, or your home world. Fight for the neighboring worlds, just as Naruto fights for our world." The stunned expressions of the shinobi are replaced with fierce determination and hope, causing the sage to smile as he knew their vessels were filled with the most powerful weapon stronger than fear and despair. Hope. Tsunade stood there as her ancestor snapped his fingers and waved goodbye to her and everyone else. She was about to say something when she was dragged back into her office by Konohamaru. They both nodded and walked to the door. As they walked, Konohamaru noticed the busty blonde woman had lost her pale and sluggish appearance and had regained her world-renowned beauty. When the door opened, the Anbu outside were startled and surprised to see their Hokage alive and well. "Assemble our forces and dispatch message hawks to Tsuchigakure and Tsunagakure, as well as dispatch the Raikage and Mizukage to the War Council chambers in 1 hour." "Are you saying War Council chambers, Lady Tsunade?" Tsunade nodded firmly but held the Anbu back for a moment. "Also, notify all shinobi of the changes we're implementing." "What has changed?" inquired the dog Anbu. "We are no longer the Allied Shinobi Forces, but the Allied Shinobi Resistance," Tsunade declared proudly. The Hokage and Konoha's high-ranking shinobi used this room for all conflicts throughout Konoha's history. It was last used to prepare for the Fourth Shinobi World War between the Allied Shinobi Forces and the criminal organization Akatsuki.
Tsunade sat on her knees as the reserve squad's remaining Jonin and Chunin entered the room and took their seats in even lines, opposite each other. On her right is her fellow Kage, Mei Terumi, and on her left is A, who looks much more intimidating than he did during his depression. Onoki stood to the right of the Raikage, and Gaara stood to the left of Mei, both of whom appeared to be full of life.
Because they lived somewhere in the village, getting the Mizukage and Raikage to the room was simple. Gaara and Onoki, the duo Kage, were in such a hurry to leave their villages that they didn't have time to choose their bodyguards for the trip because they had thought the same thing Tsunade did. Plus, meeting the Sage of the Six Paths and learning about Naruto's survival and mission to save their world was extremely beneficial to them. "Let the first meeting of the Allied Shinobi Resistance begin," Tsunade said clearly and commandingly after everything was settled.
"Hi," the Konoha shinobi exclaimed with new life in them. Some of them even said they were relieved to see the 5 Kage and their willpower still alive after the war.
"What is the status of the shinobi here in Konoha?" Tsunade asked a shinobi with a red tattoo on his left cheek. "Lady Hokage, after receiving your secondary orders, I have terrible news. The physicality and skill-wise of the shinobi have been severely degraded since the war, as have our fellow Mizu shinobi and Kumo shinobi here. Very few of us are combat-ready and in fighting shape. I expected as much. Aside, pinching the bridge of his nose, given the total of shinobi here, Tsunade and Tsukihigakure, how long will it take for them to be in fighting shape again?
Quote, I'm not sure, Lord Raikage, it'll probably take a month or so to get into fighting shape. Plus.
Slam. Asterisk. Everyone turned to look at the doors and saw Konohamaru walk in with a monkey behind him, carrying something. Tsunade's eyes widened as she noticed the monkey, which resembled a younger version of her sensei's summoning animal, Enma. In fact, Konohamaru and the summoning animal are exact replicas of their relatives.
What does this mean? This is a council meeting for resistance members, remarked a Konoha shinobi.
Imagine the stunned reactions of everyone present when Konohamaru scoffed at the man and declared, I am a member of the resistance. Don't be ridiculous. You're still a kid, and a genin at that, reprimanded A. And Naruto. Everyone fell silent. I understand he has more combat experience and power than me, but I am a Konoha shinobi like him, you all, and my grandfather, and besides.
Quote. Konohamaru looked over his shoulder and nodded to Enma Jr. Everyone in the room was surprised when the young but tall monkey dropped the object on the floor. It was a male shinobi dressed in Tsunagakure garb and wearing a headband with the kanji, 10 tails, written on it. Our adversary is watching us, or was until I discovered him. Wait a minute, you said Naruto has more experience than you. You speak as if he's alive, and as you all know, Naruto was killed by the Shinju along with Killer Bee and the forces, a Konoha shinobi with red hair said.
Never mind that for now, Kage countered before turning to face Konohamaru. Where did you find him, young one? Onoki inquired, feeling a pang of nostalgia because the boy reminded him of Hiruzen. Outside of this very building, on top of the Hokage monument, and I believe he was using an earth-style technique, the shinobi exclaimed, but the 5 Kage sat stoic as they relayed this information. And that's just one of them. The rest are in body bags outside.
Your team, what team? Tsunade inquired. Konohamaru did not respond verbally, instead snapping his fingers. Blurs appeared from the council room ceiling and landed behind the Sarutobi member and his animal partner, shocking even the Kage. Standing in front of them are genin-level shinobi around Konohamaru's age, their eyes filled with pride and determination rather than joy or happiness.
Lady Tsunade, Konohamaru said, catching the Sanin's attention, right now you're probably thinking of forbidding us from fighting because us fighting in the upcoming battles reminds you of your grandfather and granduncle's childhoods during the warring clans period. I understand that. But this time it's completely different. Everyone leaned in as they listened to the boy's words. Back then, Lords Harsharama and everyone who had come before the young shinobi had been taken aback by the latter's words of wisdom comparable to the third Hokage. They were so taken with him that they didn't notice when a puff of smoke appeared next to him, revealing an elder green toad with white hair styled in a mohawk, very thick eyebrows, a small goatee, and a high collar cape. When Tsunade awoke from her trance, she saw the toad and immediately recognized him. What are you doing here, Lord Fukasaku? I've come with a message for you, Tsunade girl, that this is ideal because all the other Kage are here as well, saving me the trouble of traveling to the other villages, Fukasaku said as he took a deep breath and smiled. Naruto boy is alive and he has discovered the first sealing key. He has? Konohamaru exclaimed in surprise, while the other shinobi muttered to themselves about Naruto's survival. You spoke with him? Gaara asked, surprised. Yes, I did. I was shocked at first, but I had a feeling he was still alive, and I was correct. He also told me about what's going on in the world he's in and his current situation. Go on, Mei said, her curiosity at an all-time high. So Fukasaku told them what Naruto had told him about the Shinigami and their powers, the Hollows, and the new enemies Naruto had encountered. Tsunade smiled to herself as the other Kage listened to the new information, happy that the boy was still fighting for them in their home. Shinigami World Universe, Karakura Town Urahara's shop. Naruto had to admit that the room he was sitting in was nice. The living room appeared small, but it had enough space for 5 people at the time. I wonder how Granny Tsunade and the others react to my being alive and all. Hehe, it was funny how Master Fukasaku reacted when he first saw me. But the bump was unnecessary, Naruto complained as he touched the bump on his head. You might not have liked it, but I did. Hey, Kurama, shut up, Naruto said through the telepathy link. Oh, good one, Kurama remarked sarcastically as he reflected on the events of the previous minutes. Naruto was led to the living room after entering the shop, much to their chagrin, while Urahara ordered the kids to bed. Later, Urahara explained why he placed the key inside Rukia. Aizen was on the verge of discovering the key, but it turns out he was after the Hogyoku and knew nothing about the key. Why? Because the Hogyoku is a case that protects and shields the key's energy while also possessing its own. Urahara then requested that Naruto hand over the Hogyoku so that he could open it and return the key. The Jinchuriki agreed and was instructed to wait or sleep until the procedure was completed. So, while he waited, Naruto decided it was time to inform the others about himself and his mission, so he summoned Fukasaku. Fukasaku understood and returned to the elemental nations after something caused a serious bump. To be honest, I wasn't expecting the summoning jutsu to work between this world and ours. It was a long shot, but now we know it works and we can summon Chief Toad and the others. I wonder how Gamakichi and Gamatatsu are doing. Ask Fukasaku when you summon him again, not me. When Naruto heard that, he grimaced. Shoot. I was supposed to summon him back by now, Kurama muttered as he began doing the hand signs, but Naruto chose to ignore it. After Naruto slammed his right hand on the table in front of him, a series of fuinjutsu markings appeared on the ground. Fukasaku appeared a puff of smoke later, a grin on his face. How did they react about? You know, Master Fukasaku. What are your thoughts, Naruto boy? The sage rubbed his cheek sheepishly. Right. So any news? A moment or two later, he was taken aback by the state of his world. So Granny Tsunade, Gaara, and the other Kage are reforming the Shinobi Alliance into the Shinobi Resistance. The toads, slugs, eagles, and other animals from the Summoning Island will help the resistance. Konohamaru has just been promoted to Chunin, but also. Yes, Naruto boy, Fukasaku said, drawing a deep breath from his former student. Young one, you should know that myself, Ma, and the entire Toads will help you without hesitation. Count on it. Fukasaku then extended his small arm to the boy. Thanks, Pa. Tell Ma and the others I said hi, Naruto said as he gave his former master a handshake. Fukasaku said his goodbyes and returned to his home. You could have come out, Urahara. I'd have liked you to meet one of my teachers. The said man smiled as he opened the slide door and entered the room. And interrupt your reunion? I'm not that kind of person, you know, Kazuki exclaimed cheerfully, waving his fan. Right. Naruto stopped deadpan before noticing something else. Where is the key? Kazuki inquired before reaching into his cloak and removing the object. When Kazuki placed the so-called key in Naruto's right hand, he raised his brow and felt a mountain rush of power flow through him. It felt like a split second before the rush dispersed, causing the boy to take a deep breath before taking a closer look at the key. It is a small pendant that resembles the Senju clan's crest, which represents indestructible and unstoppable force. Are you seeing this, Kurama? What kind of inquiry is that? I'm sorry for bothering you, but do you think the other keys will be clan crests like this one? Perhaps. But keep in mind that the Senju clan existed long after the old man, so how could he have known about their crest? I suppose I should ask you because you're technically his kid. I am not that man. You better take th. After severing the link, Naruto rolled his eyes. He then noticed Kazuki looking at him strangely and replied, I was spacing out, sorry. That's great. Now tell me about your living conditions here. See conditions? Naruto stuttered, a sweat drop on his brow. Yep. Yoruichi, in her cat form, is sleeping on the pantry a few minutes later until. Are you serious? She falls into the bucket of filthy water and other unlucky components. After 3 weeks, Yamamoto's office 1st Division. If there was one thing the head captain did not enjoy doing, it was paperwork. He's been in countless battles, fighting powerful opponents with scars to prove it, but paperwork has been his constant foe since he founded and became leader of the Gote 13.
Oh, why me? It's been a while since the Ryoka returned to the world of the living, but repairs to Soul Society's damaged areas are nearly complete, much to the relief of the head captain. However, another issue arose a week ago about human souls being drained and absorbed by beings thought to be extinct, the Bounce. During their current stay in the world of the living, Rukia Kukachi and Renji Abarai both reported on the descriptions of the beings in the attacks.
Yamamoto couldn't help but smile as he looked out from his seat at the vast open view of the entire Saratii. Even if it's only for a short while, peace is nice right now, Yamamoto said before his senses went crazy. A few seconds later, there was a series of explosions, those spiritual pressures. Head captain, exclaimed the Shinigami, his lieutenant following him after a shunpo. Sir, the Saratii has been attacked. I see that. Sir? Chojirabe asked, perplexed. When an attack occurs in Soul Society, The head captain usually reacts appropriately and quickly, but why is he taking his time this time? Send all forces to protect the barracks and citizens in the Rukon districts, with captains dealing with intruders and lieutenants observing the battle. Chojiro raised a puzzled brow. Battle? He was correct, they are crossing over to our dimension, Yamamoto said, further perplexing his subordinate. A few minutes ago, District Number 38 Rukon District. The civilians were minding their own business, passing the time until it was their turn to be reincarnated back into the world of the living. Nothing ever happens in the districts until a black portal appears in the middle of a dirt road, causing a crater beneath it. Two intimidating and frightening men dressed strangely emerge from it. The man is of average height, with medium-length silver hair slicked back and distinct purple eyes. He wears a headband with the kanji 10 tails around his neck and an open cloak with red clouds, its entire right sleeve and upper right torso missing, leaving only the left side intact. Finally, the large scythe with 3 blades, the smallest at the bottom and the largest at the top, is his most distinguishing physical feature. You'd think someone would change after dying twice, but I guess that's not the case with you, Kakuzu? Kakuzu is a tall tan-skinned man, just a little taller than Hidan, with long dark brown hair and unusual green irides, no pupils, and red sclerae. He wears a white hood, a headband with the kanji 10 tails, like his partner, and a black mask, revealing only his eyes to all who see him. Let's find the key and... Uzumaki, Kakuzu said angrily when he mentioned the name. TCH. Can't believe that Jinchuriki brat is still alive, Hidan exclaimed before noticing several people staring at him and his partner. What the hell are you looking at? I'll kill you all as a tribute to Jashin. Hidan dashed towards the terrified people and swung his scythe. Hidan laughed manically as he continued his rampage, ignoring the screams of the slaughtered victims, while Kakuzu muttered one word. Idiot, he said before making a few hand gestures and stopping at the ram sign that read, lightning style, false darkness. The buildings where the wandering souls were housed exploded in a mushroom cloud. It appears to be just another day in Soul Society. In collaboration with Ichigo, Chad, Orihime, and Uryu. While its protectors attended the dreaded prison that is mandatory for their age, school, the citizens of the graceful town lived in peace. Geez, I'm tired, Ichigo said as he walked alongside Uryu, Orihime, and Chad. Between school and dealing with hollows, I'd prefer the latter. Glad it's the weekend. You're just saying that because you got a F on your last test, Uryu remarked, leaving a tick mark on the Shinigami's head. Something on your mind, Orihime? He asked, looking at Orihime, who appeared to be deep in thought. The group's healer came to when she noticed her 3 best friends looking at her with concern or curiosity. Oh, I was just wondering if we could take Naruto on a tour of the city. He hasn't left Urahara's shop since the night we returned, and I believe he only comes out when hollows appear in town.
That's correct, were the male trio's thoughts. The only time they see their ninja friend is at the home of the eccentric exiled Shinigami, Urahara, and it is also when Ichigo fights Naruto to improve his control of his Shinigami powers, particularly his Bankai, only to lose to him every time due to the blonde's greater combat experience and advanced, unusual techniques.
He once told me that the reason he stays inside the shop is for training, Chad said in a deep voice. Perhaps this is connected to the missing body and that mysterious woman Yoruichi met a week ago. Naruto told me something similar during one of our sparring sessions, but he also says he trains to maintain and grow his strength, Ichigo explained as they turned right into the alley that leads to the shop. They eventually entered the shop and discovered Tessai diligently cleaning the living room. Hello, Tessai.
Hello there, Ichigo, and you brought your friends with you, Tessai said, moving to restock the candy shelves. The boss, Renji, and Rukia are downstairs with Naruto. With this in mind, the team dashed down the hall and into the hidden underground training area. It wasn't long before they heard crashes and verbal curses and discovered Naruto and Renji sparring with Rukia, Urahara, and Yoruichi on the sidelines. That's when Ichigo noticed Rukia was dressed in her Shinigami robe rather than the white kimono, indicating that her Shinigami powers had returned.
Hey, Ichigo said to the onlookers as he, Orihime, Chad, and Uryu took a seat next to them to watch their 2 friends spar. Stop moving around and fight me straight in the face. No, I don't want to, and you can't make me, Naruto said childishly, a grin on his face.
Renji gnashed his teeth with a tick mark and said, fine. Roar Zabumaru, as his left hand slid over the katana blade. The blade morphed into an even longer 6-part segmented blade, each segment wider than the one before it, and each segment with 2 pick-like protrusions on the front and back. Take it.
Naruto's eyes widen slightly before he easily sidesteps the whip-like blade. Oh, you missed like the last 15 times. Stop talking. Now. Naruto and Renji looked to the approaching Urahara, Ichigo and the others following his trail. That is enough for today. I don't want to rebuild my training grounds again. For the 13th time. The Shinigami had allowed Naruto to use the underground training grounds the night after giving the key back and keeping the Hogyoku under lock and key, which was a mistake he regretted. What? Exclaimed Naruto as he slid Tenkaichi back into its sheath on his back, while Renji did the same with his sword by his left waist. Come on, man. Let me train for another half hour, please. Why do you train every day? Uryu asked. Your strength is great enough to match the head captain of the Gotei 13 and leave almost unscathed. From that alone, you are easily the strongest of all of us. Hehe. Well, I don't mean to brag, however, you act like a child at times, and I'm surprised you survived with your head intact. Uryu recoiled in fear as Naruto leapt at him, but the latter was stopped by the combined efforts of Ichigo and Chad, who held him back with difficulty. See?
Ichigo and Chad let go of Naruto while rubbing their arms after calming him down. What's this guy made of? Ichigo wondered as Orihime approached the shinobi. Naruto, we were wondering if you'd like a tour of the town. Orihime asked, smiling. Naruto blushed slightly because it was so adorable. We're all up for it.
He felt compelled to accept their offer for some reason. Of course, all.
Mr. Urahara, boss. Everyone present turned to the large stairwell to see Ururu, Jinta, and Tessai running with fear and anxiety towards their location. You all need to come look at this, Tessai bemoaned. They all dashed up to the living room, where the television had been left on, and were astounded not by the few buildings on fire in downtown Karakura, but by a dozen hollows in the area. Well, it appears that you guys are going to be. Urahara came to a halt when he turned around to find Naruto, Renji, Ichigo, and Rukia gone, with Ichigo's body on the ground, leaving Orihime, Uryu, and Chad behind. Busy. Westgate Soul Society with Hidan and Kakuzu. The two shinobi made their way to the gathering of high chakra levels behind the large walls that stands before them after satisfying their desire to kill by slaughtering countless lives around them.
Come on, we're not getting anywhere by standing.
Impatient as usual, you don't look around for anything suspicious, or the changes in the air, or the 13 people standing behind us right now, Kakuzu said before turning around to face the newcomers. Hidan muttered, asshole, before turning around in the same direction as his partner and spotting their opponents. The first group is made up of mostly men and two women who are dressed in black kimonos with a white cloak over them and katanas by their sashes. The second group wears the same black kimono and katanas as the first, but a badge of some kind wraps around their left sleeves.
So, which of you is the strongest? You can guess who that is. What kind of question is that? I'm stronger than this idiot, rebuked Hidan harshly, waving his arms. The crazed shinobi grabbed his large scythe and blocked a slash from the spiky-haired guy with the eye patch, sending him skidding backwards on his feet a good distance away. Hidan stabbed his weapon into the ground, abruptly coming to a halt in his unwanted backwards motion with his head down and body slouched.
Hidan's bark of laughter came before he knew it as he faced the spiky opponent. This is great, I like that look in your eyes, you will be an excellent tribute to Jashin. He exclaimed, matching the man in front of him with a maniacal grin. I am Captain Kenpachi Zaraki of the 12th Division, Kenpachi said, his grin splitting his face. Let's get started.
Kakuzu sighed as his partner and opponents vanished from view before returning his gaze to the rooftops, specifically those wearing the white cloak. If that spiky-haired man is a captain, they must be as well, and their high chakra levels are a dead giveaway. Who will be my opponent? It doesn't matter to me because you'll all fall before me, the petite female captain snorted. Before we get down to business, I have one question. Speak before I lose my patience, snarled Soifan, her hand resting on the hilt of her sword. Where has Naruto Uzumaki gone? His response was a captain with a scarf around his neck and a stoic expression leaping from the roof, sword in hand. That is classified information because Uzumaki is a Gotei 13 ally. Kakuzu. Byakuya shunpoed in front of him and swung his sword at the man's head, intending to decapitate him. What he didn't expect was for the man to lift his right arm and block the attack without any visible strain or pain. Kakuzu chuckled as he pushed the man backwards and removed his cloak, revealing his black arms. Earth style, iron skin. Are you surprised? You haven't seen anything yet. What's your name? Captain Byakuya Kukichi of the 6th Division. And you will not go any further. I will bring your demise, Byakuya declared as he raised his spiritual pressure, which Kakuzu unknowingly responded to. The two calm combatants then vanished with their respective high-speed movement techniques. When they collided with blade and arm, shockwaves shook the air, along with a shout of fire style, searing migraine. Karakura Town downtown, everyone was perplexed and scared. Not by the sudden explosions and burning buildings. Nope. Their emotions are derived from the displays of various clothing scattered throughout the streets and sidewalks, as well as random people being picked up in the air by something before disintegrating into nothing. That is obvious to them. If the Hollows have one distinct advantage over those with low spirit energy, it is their invisibility to them. And, as usual, their invisibility serves them well.
The horde of dozen Hollows are four-legged creatures with long tails and dog-like masks with long tongues protruding from their jagged teeth, evidence of their devouring of souls amongst other things. There was, however, one that was larger and had a more humanoid upper body structure than the rest of its kin, as well as two horns. It spotted a mother clutching her baby close and reasoned that it could get two for the price of one before reaching out for its unsuspecting and terrified victims.
You'd think these Hollows would have learned from the deaths of their fallen comrades over the last 3 weeks. Another voice interrupted the Hollow's action. Well, I should get this over with because I'm tired and want to go home. Hold it, Ichigo. You took the Hollows the last time, I should take this one. Naruto, you're not a Shinigami. Who approached you, Renji? When the Hollows looked up at the roof of a tall building, they saw a group of teens, 3 of whom were dressed in Shinigami garb, and a blonde human wearing an orange jacket and dark pants, a black headband, and a sword on his back. The 3 males, on the other hand, pitted their heads against each other, gnashing their teeth for dominance.
However, the blonde smirked and said, "Well, I guess we'll settle this like we always have." Naruto raised his hand as the smirking Shinigami agreed and raised their hands high in the air as well. "Ready, now, rock.
Paper, scissor, go," exclaimed all of the boys.
When the 3 males chose a child's game to determine who would exterminate the group, Rukia and even the Hollows sweated profusely. "Ah, damn it," Ichigo exclaimed as he, Naruto, and Renji placed their hands down to determine the winner. Ichigo and Renji both chose rock, whereas Naruto chose paper. He must have cheated, Renji agreed as Naruto jumped around the roof, bragging about his victory, yet again. "Okay, since I'm going to take care of them, you should." Naruto came to a halt when Rukia exclaimed. "What exactly is it? Look at your legs, you dummy," yelled Renji at the blonde. Naruto tilted his head for a moment before complying and looking down, only to freak out. His legs and clothing are disintegrating into mist as they liquefy into water. What the hell? Guys, help! Gargle, his mouth, like the rest of his head, began to water. To be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share, and subscribe for more, and thank you all for having support and have a great day.